want to invite you to join me in a conversation with Dennis Richards. Dennis is, of course, the country's one of the country's greatest artists. And we want to have a chat with him and see what he has accomplished over the years and what is his vision about art in the country. Dennis, welcome.
Thank you, Glen.
All right. Well, first of all, I've known you for quite some time, and I've always known that you have been into graphics and that kind of thing. But give our listeners a little bit about who you are and how long you've been into this kind of entertainment.
My name is Dennis Richards. I've been into this since, which is about nearly 40 years now. I started that, well, I recognize that that's a part of my training, the way that I went to school and that whole thing. I realized that I needed to find out what my niche was, what it is, my purpose in life. And I realized the easiest thing for me to do and the quickest thing for me to do was art. So I recognized that I had a gift with my hands. Because even apart from the art, I'm into sports. And again, you're dealing with your hands and the gift of playing that ball. I played table tennis. So the art started a long time. Even when I was growing up, I recognized that we weren't as fortunate to have had all the gimmicks and gadgets that the younger folks have today. So we had to find ways of entertaining ourselves. So we had to make our own toys. And doing that, I recognized that there was a gift. And even when I was in school, I find that sometimes when I'm being taught different subjects, I find myself, if you look at my book is just full of art pieces, doodling. My mind would have been somewhere else except on what I was supposed to be doing, concentrating on what the teacher was teaching. My mind was past that. So I recognized that art seems to be the way it has been chosen for me to go. That's my thing. Even when I went to school, when I left and went to school, I went to college. I had the opportunity to go to college. And the thing that I saw that I could do was drafting, drawing, basically.
Right.
So I got in there and found out that it was not just only drawing, but it was the design program. So see, we are being guided in terms of designing and drawing. When I finished that and I went to senior college, which was industrial arts. Industrial arts, again, dealing with your hands and mind coordination and trying to solve problems. And that's where designing basically is. It's about design is trying to solve problems.
Right.
And that's what art is really, solving problems. So this is why it would even be beneficial for most people to get into art, because it helps you to solve problems in life. So I've been doing that for a while, and then when I came back to St. Kitts, I was offered a job in the teaching, but I was already into that, and that again is another story by itself. But so I was into the government printry, where I could have actually practiced my art.
That's right.
And opportunities came up during that time, which one of the things that I really wanted to do was to contribute to St. Kitts. That's when I left the States and came back. My intention was contribution because I never worked in St. Kitts before. So that was one of the things, and I was happy that I was in the government country where I had the opportunities to design during independence, because I got in there just around the time of independence. So I had the opportunities to contribute on that level, and I was very happy about that. And I decided while I was there, I said, I would like to have a gallery, but you can't have a gallery if you don't have things to put into the gallery. Right. So I started building on my design. So it had to be in love, because it's not the fact that I'm not doing it for anyone. I'm just expressing myself. You see, that's what I think life is about too. Being able to share your inner thoughts, and especially the arts. It's actually sharing my inner thoughts visually. And if there's folks who would enjoy or likes my work, then so be it. But my first preference is to share my inner thoughts visually.
Now tell us about the design component. I know that you were into t-shirt designing, for example. I think you're under the label of Black Sand.
Black Sand, that's correct.
Tell us about that.
Black Sand, well, this is one way of, because I'm a graphic artist also, and so t-shirts, it's a very good way of advertising, and because people wear t-shirts all over. And I saw the need for that in St. Kitts because we had a lot of festivals, but we weren't really promoting them on that level, and I figured that would have been a good avenue for me to get into. Tony Gonzalez saw my work and decided, you know, you need to add a different component to this now. You need to have a trademark, a name. And he's the one that suggested to me Black Sand, which I'm very grateful. And so Black Sand was going for a while, but it became a little difficult at some point to maintain it because I started a family, and then, you know, the money that you would need to continue that, and then at times, being a small business, it was like a turn-hand thing what we talk about. Yeah. And if some people delay payments, then you keep going back and back, and it was hard for me to actually design, print, and then go to sell. You see, that I really don't like the part of the selling. Yeah. I love to design, I love to create, but the part of selling, it's not really my forte. I would do it if I have to because I've been doing it.
Good.
And so the t-shirt, the Black Sand came into, and it was, again, I had this family friends at Kelseywick and Ferdinand, and they saw me and they decided I need to add another component to that, and which was they're going to be trademarked, and they trademarked it for me because I couldn't afford to do it at that time. And they did, and I'm very grateful for them to do that. That's where the Black Sand and the t-shirt came along.
But you also designed one of the region's most notable logo, and relates to the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank. What happened there?
You know, sometimes you say about you're lucky, but I think this was something that had to happen because the fact that it's in St. Kitts, and it would be nice if somebody in St. Kitts had did that, which they had a regional competition, which I was not aware of. But when the final entries were tallied up, they weren't pleased with them. So Ricky Skerritt came and asked me while I was working at government printry. So you see, working at the government printry has its benefits. While I worked, he came and asked me if I could come up with a logo. And my first attempt, they accepted.
Oh, that's amazing.
My first attempt, you know, and I've done many different logos, even locally in terms of Newtown, we am from. You have Fulton Bakery. I've done the Children's Dance Theater. I've done Culture, Ministry of Culture, Department of Culture's logo. I've done logo for the Ministry of Tourism, and different, you know, other logos which I've done. So that's where the graphic arts part came in. The other part, now the visual arts, that's again me expressing myself. I came across a new set of things which I felt that's another purpose of my being, which was like redoing our historical pictures. So it's like keeping our history alive and in living color.
Yeah. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because my next question really to you was to find out how would you describe your art in terms of your style, that kind of thing.
It has a signature to it, and if you really know my style, you could identify. The part we had deviated from, which you would have to pick up at a later date, is those historical paintings which I've done, because you've known me more for abstract work.
Yeah.
And why I really love abstract is because it's coming up with something new, and that has never been created before, and it gives me a joy and a pleasure of doing it and seeing it when it's done. And but I do have a signature, you know, that you can, apart from my real signature, D. Richards, my painting has a style, and I don't really force it, and I don't resist it. I go along. For example, recently I've been asked about, you know, to do a piece called Close on the Line, and I guess it's somebody who's very sentimental about their past and where they came from. We'd like to relive it, you know, somewhat. And
that was a good one.
That was a good one, you know.
Yeah.
So I like to get ideas from people too, and I'm like, you know, I like the challenge of doing that. You give me your problem, and I try to solve it visually.
Right. Okay. And you know, I guess over the years you have come into contact with a number of very prominent persons. I'll let you tell us about some of those there. One of them is a celebrity.
Well, that's, as a matter of fact, in my portfolio, she comes out top because that was my first and seems to be the biggest at this point, which is Oprah Winfrey. You know, people like, there's, I think she's from Thailand, and then she owns banks and stuff like that, and she has my painting in the house. I have paintings like Walt and Ambrose has some of my paintings. The Governor General has paintings in Government House, and many of the institutions in government institution has some of my work, including electricity department and stuff like that. And in terms of even in the music part of it, I've met, you know, celebrities that you know has my work. Trying to see who else, but these are some of the people that really stands out. And recently, one of my paintings was given as a gift to the Prince when he came on his last visit. So that to me is also a significant accomplishment. Having not only in Oprah's house, but then having it in Buckingham Palace. You know, it gives you a sense of accomplishment, and in terms of joyfulness, and I hope that continues so I could continue to manifest my work and share it with the general public. Because that's basically what it's about.
Right. And recently you had you were part of an exhibition in, was it Toronto?
Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
It's ARTA, A-R-T-A, Art Museum, which is in a very affluent neighborhood in Toronto. And I've gotten really nice feedback. Most of the paintings have been sold. People have asked me about different paintings that they would like to order. And I've got been commissioned to do the one I just showed you to do.
Right.
So, and it was, what I like about it too is being able to showcase with my fellow traditions and divisions. You know, that part of it was because we need to promote the art. I keep saying, you promote us with the art and we'll promote you. You have a product to promote, then that's what you need to do. If you didn't have it, then you know, how could you promote? But there's a product, and that would send incentive to future and upcoming artists to strive for.
Right. Yeah. So, and as you mentioned that, I wanted to get your views, because you've been into the teaching component of life as well.
Oh, wow.
For quite some time, formally and informally.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get an idea as to what do you think is necessary to push the arts forward? And I'm talking in general, the arts in general. and also the visual arts in particular?
There was a festival that started some time ago, stopped and we started, which is the Arts Festival, literary, culinary, visual, and the other one, when I get rid of it, but the arts in the whole, right? That was a good start to that. We need to start that back, because then what happens is that the general public get to see what has been done and what can be done in the primary schools. It needs to be instituted. We need to have all, basically, and then it comes back down to the teachers. You need to have teachers that can teach the art. And if you have all the teachers that would have gone to some aspect of the art, they'll be able to be more creative in terms of passing on, disseminating the information to the student. Because like I always say that we all learn at a different rate in a different way. I know that for me. And one of the things that got me through was learning through the arts. Remember I just told industrial arts, and that covers the whole art spectrum. So we need to develop that into the schools. Then, because, and if you look around, I keep saying, if you look around, everything that's around you is art. And if you can't make it, you have to buy it. And if you're buying it, especially the money goes out. And if we can do that here, because that's where we need to have something different. Okay, we cater towards tourism. And that's basically what they're asking to see is what we have to offer as a people. That's so we need to promote that, because that's going to sustain our tourism industry. So it's in the school system, and then we do have festivals. And our festivals, we deal with a lot of visual and performing arts. That's the next one, performing arts. And what been happening recently is that, because I used to be in camps and different mass camps, I used to be making the stuff from scratch. Here now is what we're going to go away and purchase costume from another set of people that we have to be spending money, and it's going to cost us more. You know, by doing that, and we are creative people, and we have to find. We don't have to follow folks. We can come up with our own ideas, and this becomes us. What we are is other countries' thing that we're just following and using. But if we could be creative enough to come up with our own cultural pieces, and sometimes people say, oh, we'd like to go to St. Kitts to see their stuff. Because you go to other jobs, it's like the t-shirts. A lot of the t-shirts that you see down in stores, you would see the same t-shirt in St. Martin, but it just says St. Martin. That's the only difference. Sure. Nothing unique to St. Kitts per se. It's probably just the name. We have a lot of designers. But what we have to do, we have to trust in our people and support our people. And that's how we're going to. Because if we're always going to keep them down and they realize that it's no use because we're not being supported, then it's a problem. And it would always be a problem. So the population, the people has to support people. Look, you know how, but again, we have a little thing about us that we don't like to support people that we know. I don't know why. You know, but it come back to benefit you. If you invest in that person, even though the person may seem to excel, they may be able to pull you along with them from where you are. Otherwise, you're just going to stay stationary and they're going to be and nothing happens.
Yeah, I'm glad you're passionate about that, because one of the things that some persons would like to do is to use their art as a business.
As a business.
And there is a certain amount of trepidation with regards to the financial community in terms of supporting that kind of thing. You know, so I think
education, that's what it is.
Right.
You see, we have not really been into art. Let's say. Now that you find that people are getting more like their own homes and stuff like that, and they have now television which shows you what's in the outer world and how it looks, it tends to kind of bridge the gap a little. They would love to have, but maybe they can't afford to have at this point. So we have to find a way that we could reach each other, you know, and that's what I've been trying to do, because I know that I can't afford original, so I go into mass production, you know, reprinting, where I could make it feasible for the average person to own a piece of their history and all my work.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We've basically come to the end of our conversation. Any final words from you?
I would love for general public to support the art and encourage your kids to go that way, because it's something that we can benefit from. Designers needs to be smart people. So not because your kid may have 10 subjects academically, if they are anyway inclined with the arts, encourage them, because it not only makes them a better person, but it makes them a creative person, and they could contribute to the economy of St. Kitts and Nevis. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Dennis. I certainly appreciate the time that you have spent with us. We have certainly covered and got to know a little bit more about you. Right. And I'm hoping that through conversations like this one that we had this morning, that more of our people will become interested and supportive of the arts. So again, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
There you have it. I'm Glen Bart, SKN Newsline.